We have all at some point in our lives played a game or multiple games that really clicked with us. Like it's a perfect fit. We don't know why, but everything falls in place perfectly. One of these games for me was Sifu, made by Slow Clap. Be it the combat, the gameplay loop, the environment, or the atmosphere, all the elements seem to be right where they were supposed to be. Hi guys, this is Jay. Since this is an in-depth analysis, we will talk in detail about all of the mechanics in the game. Keep in mind that this video is based on my opinion and my understanding of the game. I don't claim to be an expert. This means that I would like to hear other points of view from you guys. As for the spoilers, rest assured I won't go deep into the story. There will be some clips of boss fights and of the different areas, but that's about it. So you can pretty much consider it spoiler free. Enjoy! Combat is a major focus of Sifu, and something that can be overwhelming for the player at first. From the different types of attack each enemy can perform, to the multiple combos and tactics available to you, you have a lot to learn when entering this world. And this is part of what makes it so great. You feel as though the character, and you of course, are getting better at kungfu through the game, one step at a time. This may be a personal thing since I know nothing about Pac-Man kungfu, but I was astonished by every variation of attacks as well as all the techniques and ways to deal with opponents. In Sifu you can perform a wide array of attacks, ranging from quick light strikes combos
You can't keep up.
to devastating heavy finishers. You can alternatively use low attacks, which are most likely kicks or leg sweep, to destabilize your opponents and keep the momentum of the fight on your side. All of this is supplemented by throws and follow-throughs, things that can really push the combo's potential to the next level. You are also able to perform various power moves, depending on what you have in your hands. These are called focus strikes. Holding the corresponding key will slow down time and let you choose a part of the body to attack, each part being tied to a certain technique. These are devastating attacks that act a bit like your wildcards. Before being able to perform a focus strike, you will need to fill one of the bars in the focus meter by attacking, parrying, or dodging. One of the core mechanics of the game is also its posture, or composure bar in yellow, situated directly under the health bar, which is white. Those of you who played Sekiro will be familiar with it. Basically, when a character takes damage to his health, it will also take damage to his posture. If a character blocks an attack, that attack won't damage the health, but it will add further pressure to the posture. Once the posture reaches its limit, it will break, leaving the character open for a brutal finisher. On a side note, it is important to remember that these finishers will restore a portion of your health. The same can be said for simply taking out enemies. And if it's the player's posture that has been broken, it will leave him open to subsequent attacks by the enemies, which, believe me, can lead to quick death. So, combat turns into this careful dance, where you try to manage your own posture while also trying to break the enemy's composure. This will prove to be quite a challenge, since more often than not, you will be outnumbered or simply outskilled by a stronger opponent. This is where the parrying and dodging mechanics really shine if used correctly. When it comes to not getting hit by the enemy, the player has a couple options. The main ones are to parry or simply dodge the attack. When perfectly parrying an attack, the player will put pressure on the enemy's posture while avoiding the damage. This means that if you time your blocks right, you can win an encounter by simply parrying the attacks of the enemies at the right time, and at some point, their posture will break, leaving them open for a finisher. This is an ideal scenario, since you can play defense all along and still win. Unless the enemy's strikes are more than your composure can take. Here enters the dodge. Since some of the enemies hit will be more powerful than others, it is sometimes more efficient to simply avoid an attack completely. This would include arm strikes while you are unarmed, powerful kicks, and attacks with big windups. These will generally be highlighted in red. While staying in the same stance as the blocking one, the player can dodge hits coming his way by pressing the keys matching the high or low attacks. This means that the attack simply won't touch you, regaining you some much needed posture. It will also give you some key openings to implement a counterattack. Knowing this, one would assume that parrying light attacks and dodging heavy attacks would be the way to go. Unfortunately, this sounds way easier than it actually is. Like you, enemies mix and match light, heavy, and low attacks to remain unpredictable and efficient in a fight. But unlike them, you have a secret tool: knowledge, and progression, of course. Like any good roguelike, death and failure is a big part of Sifu, since it is the main way you get better in game with unlocked skills, and also as a player with knowledge. Now, death in this game is not handled like in most roguelikes, where you just lose most of your progress immediately and must restart at zone 1. In Sifu, you are able to get up as much as you want after death. Well, that is, until you are too old. That's right, dying in this game makes your character age, and the more you die, the faster you age. It goes like this. Every time you die, the death counter will go up by 1. When you get up, your character will age by the number the death counter is at. Simple enough. Beating elite enemies or bosses actually decreases the death counter, so defeating those guys keeps you in the fight longer. Because yeah, you guessed it, the goal is to beat the final boss before you are too old. And getting old does not only affect the look of the character, it also limits what skills you can learn, and decreases your maximum HP, in exchange of bonus damage. As I said though, death is part of the process in Sifu. Like all other games, you will learn from your mistakes. But the death menu is also the place where you spend your XP to learn new techniques. These can be new combos for unarmed or arm strikes, new focus strikes, or completely new abilities like being able to kick debris and weapons at enemies, which is one of the stronger ones in my opinion. Once you unlock them, they will be exclusive to the current run, meaning that if you must restart, you will lose them. Unless, of course, you invest enough XP through all of your runs to make them permanent. If you were to fail a run, the game also lets you restart from any chapter you reached, at the youngest age you reached it. This means that you are not forced to completely start over. So let's say you reach chapter 2 at the age of 41, and that you are uncertain that you will be able to go all the way to the final boss with that performance. You can restart at chapter 1 and try to reach chapter 2 at a younger age to give you a better checkpoint. In each section of the game, you will also find dragon statues, which allow you to choose certain perks depending on your level score, XP, and your age. These perks will persist for the duration of the entire run, meaning that it is beneficial once again to restart at chapter 1 and go all the way to chapter 5. This will allow you to have all the perks you collected along the way for the final boss. Statues are not the only things that you will find in your travels. Clues about the story, keycards, and keys will all fit into this big detective board, which, unlike almost anything else, won't be lost if you fail. The keys and keycards play a really important role in the progression of the game. They will allow you to bypass some areas in certain chapters, and even to access some new ones. Like this door in the club. It makes you skip multiple encounters, and make it so you reach the boss faster. Which in turn means that you will probably die less, but you will also have less XP. So this is a trade-off. Like much of the roguelikes that come to mind, each chapter is governed by a boss, each of a different flavor and fighting style. And I must say, they really did an amazing job with the build-up that leads to each one of them. Usually, the closer you get to a boss, the harder the enemies become. This sets a kind of difficulty curve, unique to each chapter, since it is likely that you will fail your first attempt at a boss by being too old or by simply being outskilled. You will need to better your strategy and start to get acquainted with not only the boss, but also the enemies that lead up to him or her. As you have now seen, the environments in Sifu are beautiful and quite diverse. Whether you are in gang-controlled streets,
They've blocked the entrance to the warehouse. Need to find another way inside.
Get lost. Nothing here for you.
impressive museum, or elegant corporate tower, you always feel immersed by the surroundings. This is done by having amazing visuals and believable decor, but also by making the environment feel alive and part of what you are doing. Things in the environment, like bottles, bricks, or light bulbs, can be used as throwables in a fight. Baseball bats, pipes, and bamboo sticks can be used as blunt weapons.
Oh man! Drop your weapon! Fight me!
And of course, you can use a broom as a staff. All of these weapons do massive damage, both to the health and the composure of the enemy. Cutting weapons lose a bit of posture damage to do more health damage,
On all entrances and exits.
and both the blunt and cutting weapons also have their own specific focus strikes, which are among the most powerful.
No way.
Much like the weapons found all around, the scenes in which you fight also play a direct role in how the encounters unfold. Smart positioning in the environment and fluid traversal of waist-high objects can really flip the script in a combat situation. Putting something between you and a powerful enemy while you deal with the lesser ones can make a huge difference. With all of this, it becomes quite clear that the player has all of the tools to dictate the flow of almost all encounters. There are also great things done with the variation of open spaces and tight spaces. For example, fight in a tight corridor and the camera will shift to the side, giving you a new perspective of the fight. This really works here, and when everything connects, you really feel like you are in an action movie. On the more artistic side of things, the music and sounds are A1. Going from weapon strikes to the theme of each chapter, everything works toward the immersion of the player. Howie Lee really did a fantastic job building tension in the music and also making so it fits the rhythm of the game. You can really see the passion through his work.
We started with an overview of the different levels of the game. Then we defined with Howie the tone and variation of tension for each situation that the players will encounter.
The story is about revenge, and I wanted the soundtrack to reflect it. It's kind of dark, it's mostly percussive, with a lot of dub, techno and drum and bass influences, and with like big Chinese percussion sets. For example, I will use a very old and traditional plucked instrument, and then I will add distortion to make sounds darker and have the movement. I use drums to build up the tension, to build up the rhythm that the player can follow up. Composing music for Sifu is very different from composing my normal club tracks. The music is not really based on a timeline, rather you set up vibes for different phases or places inside the game.
It is not an area that I am familiar with, but you can witness that the developers really cared how the culture of Kung Fu was represented in the game. From how the different movesets were created, to the careful artistic choices. You can feel the care and respect that was put into this project.
Important for us to be respectful of the Chinese culture and to also show to the player little details for Benjamin or also for me are important in the life of a Kung Fu master or a Kung Fu student.
After we have this picture of what Kung Fu really is, well, we just go deeper and deeper about this. Jordan say, okay, what about this Wuguan? Is it feng shui good? Say, what? You really want me to check this? And he say, of course. So I start checking the Wuguan design. Okay, this door cannot be here, this kind of stuff. This is great that they go deeper like this.
All of the elements mentioned in this analysis come together with a lot of synergy, like they were all perfectly made for one another. This brings us a game that has truly engaging combat and fluent gameplay loops with good replayability, all the while being surrounded by beautiful environments, as well as immersive music and good sound design. A combination that really pushes the player to better himself through punishing trials and adversity. And with that, you now know why Sifu is one of the best roguelikes ever made. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed my analysis of Sifu. If you think I missed some elements or that I got some of them wrong, feel free to start the discussion in the comments. I would love to talk anything Sifu with you. If you enjoyed the video and would like to support the channel, be sure you leave a like and subscribe to make sure you don't miss the next part of our Odyssey.